All right, guys, we're going to start the show here in a matter of moments. Take a look at the screen for today's headlines. Take a look at the screen for today's headlines. The Violent Crowd movie theater survives for a little bit longer, but Judah Wickower. For how much longer? Is the Violent Crown, I'm not even going to say Violent Crown, are brick and mortar movie theaters today's version of Blockbuster Video?
I don't think it's that bad.
You don't think it's that bad?
No.
Is it not that bad yet? Are brick and mortar movie theaters today's version of Blockbuster Video? G. Milo made that comparison. I hope G. Milo's watching the program. G. Milo, you watching? Where's G. Mize? G. Milo watching the show? He made that comparison, G. Milo. Are brick and mortar movie theaters today's version of Blockbuster Video? I want to talk about that today. The developer, a prolific New York City developer that has a home in North Garden, that is the developer of the Blue Moon Diner site. Interestingly, Blue Moon Diner is now no more. He also owns University Tire, I believe. Don't quote me on that. I need to look. In fact, I'll take that back. I do believe he owns the building next door to his development where Blue Moon Diner was, but don't quote me on that until I scour the GIS. He is the developer, guys, behind the hotel project next to the Omni Hotel. He has exited his portion of land ownership with that hotel project, but he is still a partner in developing the hotel next to the Omni. His name is Jeff Levine. He says, I'm piecing out of this Violent Crown project that I was working on, which was 18 stories, Judah, 184 feet of apartment tower he wanted to bring.
18 short stories.
Still, 225 units, 18 stories, and 184 feet.
Yeah.
You love to highlight the ceiling height on that project. Why do you like to highlight the ceiling height so much of that?
It's just an odd fact about the whole thing that always struck me strangely. Like, where does everything that normally goes in that extra space, is it just compacted down?
Yeah, it's trying to get more units in there.
I know that.
By making it not as tall the floors, he gets more units in there, which means he can make more money.
Yeah.
It's the economics of the project.
And I've always been curious about where that extra space goes.
He's straight up saying that this doesn't pencil out. Then Michael Payne goes on record, 2 Michael Payne headlines today. Then Michael Payne goes on record saying, and you have none of the monitors on, right? The director and producer of the show does not have any of the sets set up over here. Michael Payne goes on record and says that it's not the zoning code or city council or city hall's fault that this project is not materializing. Something smells fishy here. The developer is saying he can't do this. City Hall is saying it's not their fault. And then there's an active lawsuit for the new zoning ordinance. Something's fishy here. Something ain't right. The math ain't mathin'. We're going to talk about that today. Speaking of Michael Payne, he authors a commentary piece in the Cavalier Daily. I was going to talk about this earlier in the week, but we had interviews with Dave Shreve on Tuesday, Mike Kochis yesterday. But I was going to talk Michael Payne penning some commentary in the Cavalier Daily. Basically, shame, UVA. You're the reason Charlottesville City Schools did not get the Federal Executive Institute. Michael Payne, what are you doing? What are you doing? Deep Throat's got some intel into Violent Crown. I respect Deep Throat significantly. He sent me some insight into Violent Crown. We'll pass along that insight live on air. We're going to talk on today's show the rumor mill with Brian O'Connor again to Mississippi State. And ladies and gentlemen, this is gaining even more momentum. In the middle of the season, Brian O'Connor told Jerry Ratcliffe of the Jerry and Jerry Show on the I Love CVille network that he wasn't going anywhere. Now the rumor mill has him going. We're going to talk about that on today's show. Judah Wickower, which headline most intrigues you and why?
I was reading the article on Councilor Payne and UVA and the FEI building, and I was surprised by some of the things that he had to say. So I'm interested in the talk.
Did you think
about
Michael
that.
Payne was out of his mind, or was just cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs with that commentary in the Cavalier Daily? Shame, shame, UVA on the Federal Executive Institute. Was he cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs there?
I mean, it's something that we've heard quite a bit now from various quarters. I was more surprised by what he had to say about the schools needing it because of how much they had to repair on the schools without mentioning or acknowledging how much repair is going to need to be done on the FEI building.
Without mentioning the fact that they can't upkeep their buildings.
Right.
The schools can't upkeep their buildings, and then they were going to buy 14 acres and 90,000 plus square feet. I mean, give me an effing break. Let's get this show rocking and rolling. We're going to talk this question: CVille politics and its obvious collateral damage. Giddy up and get ready. Judah Wickhauer's on fire today. Quiet on the set. Quiet on the set, Judah.
Quiet on the set.
Quiet on the set. Guys, welcome to the I Love CVille show. You don't have that camera set up over there, Judah Wickhauer. Thank you kindly for joining us on a, goodness gracious, a tough start for the I Love CVille production team on a Thursday afternoon. We're grateful for you joining the broadcast despite the tough start. We have a lot that we're going to talk about on today's program, including Violent Crowd Movie Theater no longer heading to the path of apartment tower. 18 stories, 184 foot tall apartment tower has been sacked, has been trashed, has been thrown in the dumpster like a fourth-year UVA student who just graduated and has no other thing to do besides taking their mattress and their furniture and taking it to a dumpster next to their house on 14th Street for locals to dumpster dive for their Pottery Barn nightstands and their Pottery Barn lights and bed frames. The apartment tower is no more on the downtown mall. And for now, Violent Crown Movie Theater will continue being a brick and mortar dinosaur. Today's version, potentially, of Blockbuster Video. We're going to talk Violent Crown. Deep Throat, number one in the family, intimately knows the dynamics of this operation. Deep Throat's lived in Austin, Texas, where Violent Crown was founded, and he knows the players behind the scenes and has intelligence that he's passed along to us, so you, the viewer and listener, get a feel for what is going on for a beloved but struggling movie theater that is clearly in third place in a small Charlottesville and Central Virginia market. We're going to talk on today's program the obvious collateral damage of Charlottesville's political landscape and climate. Look, it's no secret. It ain't easy living in Charlottesville. It ain't easy because the cost of living is through the roof. It ain't easy because if you're a small business owner, it is as challenging as ever, ladies and gentlemen, to operate your operation. Why don't I rattle them off? And Judah, we need to update the list. Local business icons that have closed in the last 12 months. Blue Moon Diner, Moose's by the Creek, El Joe's Traditional Clothes, Reed's Grocery Store, Guadalajara Restaurant on Fontaine Avenue, Mel's Cafe, Lumpkin's Restaurant and Motel, Little John's Deli, 10,000 Villages, End Zone Pizza, Belmont Pizza, Fry Spring Station, and the Jefferson Park Avenue neighborhood needs to be on that list. Fry Spring Station. Update that list after the show if you could, please. Make sure you have the word updated in all caps in the headline and showing up in the metadata so when you syndicate that post, viewers and listeners, when they read it, see the post has changed, has been edited with the inclusion of Fry Spring Station closing in the last 12 months. Heather Lamont Walker, Johnson Village's finest, offered that intelligence yesterday on the I Love CVille network. It ain't easy living in this town, folks, and eventually we need to start pointing the fingers to the decisions made by a one-party town. Development and the new zoning ordinance have materialized nothing except for tens of thousands of dollars of taxpayer waste. You walk the downtown mall. I did it this morning with my wife. This morning was bring our oldest son to work day. He walked with me from our parking space on 4th Street to our office, our building, the Macklin building on the corner of 4th and Market. He just completed the 1st grade. He is a fine young man. I am very proud of our oldest son. We get to work about 8 a.m. I let him know that a tenant is coming to sign a lease for one of the properties we own, that he has to be on his best behavior. He said, "I will, Dad." The tenant walks in, her check in hand for $1,100. 2 copies of the lease on the desk. My son sitting by my side, the tenant across from us. She very diligently reads the lease, asks a couple of questions. We answer those questions. Then my son, the tenant, and I walk to the office space. We show her the keys, show her how the keys work, show her how to exit and entrance the building again. Answer any questions, including, yes, it's absolutely cool if you choose to paint the baseboards white. We don't mind doing that at all. She asked if she could put a rug on our carpet. No problem. You can do that. It protects our carpet, and it helps you create a sense of home or ownership for the space that you're leasing. We collect the $1,100. I said, "Son, it's time to go to the bank." We walk to the bank. We deposit the money. We say hi to the branch manager. We say hi to the tellers. We say hi to the banker that's sitting in front of the branch manager's office. I introduce everyone to our son again. He then follows me from the bank to my office, where I have a phone call with a developer that's doing big things right outside the Shenandoah National Forest in the short-term rental space. This particular developer is looking for about $1,500,000 in, basically private money, money from folks like us, money from the folks that we associate with. And he said, "Look, I'm trying to scale short-term rentals. I'd like to potentially get up to 40 short-term rentals in the next 18 months. I'm going to give you the deck. Here's the model. I need some money. Let's figure something out on this." My son's listening to the phone call on speaker, asked me some questions afterwards. I was impressed with his questions. As he walks in, as he stands side by side with me as we're doing dealings on a Thursday morning, I wait for my wife to finish yoga class. She finishes yoga. She enters our building. She brings our youngest son, who's 2.5 years old, who's an absolute tornado. Within 5 minutes of our 2.5-year-old being in our building, in our office, I said, "Look, we can't be in here anymore. I'm about to lose my mind. He's destroying everything." We decide to walk out the front door. We walk up and down the downtown mall. We have an early lunch at Vita Nova Pizza on the downtown mall. We say hi to Louis. He and his father run Vita Nova. We get a large pepperoni pizza, some of the best pie in Charlottesville and Central Virginia at Vita Nova. I get 2 juices for my sons. My wife and I said, "You know what? It's Thursday morning. Let's do something different. Let's get a ice cold beer, Judah." So we have a Modelo. Pepperoni pizza, 2 Modelos, and 2 juices for our sons at 11 a.m. for juice, for lunch. How much do you think the tab was? $50. $50. We walk into Vita Nova and my wife says, "Why don't we come down here more?" Then I walk my wife to her car and she says, "Now I know why I don't come down here more. There's degenerates all over downtown Charlottesville. Degenerates all over downtown Charlottesville." I said, "Come on, sweetheart, it's not that bad." And then she looks at me. And then I realized, you know what? If my wife feels that way, who spent a decade living in Manhattan, working for Blackstone, on her way to managing director of one of the most prominent hedge funds in the world, living on the Upper East Side, then moves to Charlottesville to start a family life with me, and she has those comments, degenerates, then it must be having an impact with her. And I have to take what she says seriously. So I relay that story, that firsthand perspective that literally happened today, because I need to ask you this question. Folks, is the Charlottesville political climate creating collateral damage that we are not truly being honest with ourselves about? We have a mall that hasn't recovered since COVID. We have developers and development that is, for the most part, screeching to a standstill because of an absurd new zoning ordinance. We got homeowners that are suing City Hall. We just recently filled the vacated attorney position in City Hall. It's a one-party town. Taxes are absolutely out of control. 12.5%, 13% total taxes on your bill, including the very handcuffing meals tax of Charlottesville, Virginia. When do we start saying it's the political climate, the collateral damage that's impacting the economy, the expensive quality of life, the fact that the middle class and the lower middle class have been essentially gentrified to Fluvanna, Orange, Louisa, or over the mountain into Waynesboro? When do we start saying, goodness gracious, the median home values in the city of Charlottesville are $500,000, right around there, and it didn't used to be that way? I just chalk it up in conversations with friends of the program, like, this isn't the town that it was 25 years ago when I first moved here. But maybe it's time for me to have a much more iron-fisted approach, saying enough already. We have a platform and people listen. We'll talk about that concept today on the I Love CVille show. I'm going to ask you if Violent Crown Movie Theater, ladies and gentlemen, is now the blockbuster of 2025. Is brick and mortar movie theaters the blockbuster of 2025? We're going to talk on today's program a lot about what Michael Payne said to the Cavalier Daily on the Federal Executive Institute. Judah Wickower put this headline in the rundown because he was dismayed by Michael Payne's commentary. Is that a fair response or fair characterization of what you felt after reading Michael Payne's commentary in the Cavalier Daily? Dismayed?
More or less.
Are
yeah.
you two-shotted right now? Are people seeing you on screen?
No, why?
Because I'm asking you a question here. Were you dismayed when you read what Michael Payne had to say? We would have talked about this earlier in the week, except on Monday we were off for Memorial Day. Judah was working on his suntan on Memorial Day. What did you do for Memorial Day? I didn't ask you. I haven't had a chance to talk with you on the I Love CVille show because on Tuesday we had Dave Shreve, who's running for the Jack Jewett district seat, Albemarle County Board of Supervisors. Yesterday, Mike Kochis, chief of police on the program, Deep Throat highlighted this in comments to me, and boy, oh boy, is Deep Throat shaping today's show. He said, did you hear Chief Mike Kochis say yesterday on the show that the Charlottesville Redevelopment and Housing Authority still has vacancies in its portfolio, unable to rent all its housing stock, despite having some of the most affordable housing out there? The CRHA has been unable to fully rent its housing stock, according to commentary yesterday from Chief of Police Mike Kochis. That struck me, that struck Deep Throat. This is the first time we're able to welcome Judah Wickower to the show. It's only one day this week of our beloved Judah Wickower, because on tomorrow's program, Kevin Cox will be in studio. The man who's going toe-to-toe, Mike Tyson versus Evander Holyfield with City Hall. And Kevin Cox is going to trot into this studio with an arrest hanging over his head and 1 year of jail time hanging over the pedestrian and bicycle activists who spray painted a crosswalk on Elliowood Avenue and got put into iron cuffs, arrested.
I doubt they're still made of iron.
For what the city is causing vandalism, negligence, and clear-cut dangerous behavior as it applies to traffic patterns and pedestrian, vehicle, and bicycle safety.
Yep.
The only day we'll get to see you today, Judah, is today on the I Love CVille show, because Kevin Cox is tomorrow. Dismayed? Not dismayed when you read Michael Payne's commentary in the Cavalier Daily?
I'm not dismayed. I'm surprised. Definitely surprised. Michael Payne is a smart guy. All the people on our city council are smart, intelligent people.
Does calling out the University of Virginia for getting the Federal Executive Institute in the student newspaper that's read by all staff at the University of Virginia seem like smart behavior to you?
If you're trying to pick a fight.
This isn't David and Goliath, Michael Payne picking a fight with UVA, because geez Louise, at least David had a slingshot and a couple of rocks. The only thing that Michael Payne has in this fight with the University of Virginia is a crusty old student newspaper. What's he going to whack UVA like he's swatting flies in his mother's basement? Is that what he's going to be doing?
Sure.
You don't like when I make the reference that he's living at home with his parents.
No, I didn't care about that. Sometimes you get a little...
Entertain, enlighten, and educate, Judah. If we all delivered dry commentary, no one would watch. We have to ask this question of the viewers and listeners. Brian O'Connor, the UVA baseball coach, is again being linked with the Southeastern Conference and the Mississippi State baseball program. The beloved Brian O'Connor, a man that is capable of taking a couple of fishes and a few loaves of bread in Judah, feeding the thousands at Disharoon Park. Brian O'Connor now linked after his team is out of baseball playoff contention to the Southeastern Conference and one of the best programs in the nation, period, Mississippi State, that has a treasure chest of NIL offerings and alumni support. We have to ask the question, Carla Williams, the athletic director of the University of Virginia, in a 12-month period of time, Carla Williams, the athletic director at the University of Virginia, her football program is the worst football program from a record standpoint of any of the power conferences over the last 3 years. The season just finished, the football program, within the last 12 months. After the football program struggles mightily and loses to the Virginia Tech Hokies in disappointing fashion, Tony Bennett announces his surprise resignation. The beloved Tony Bennett. If Brian O'Connor can take a few loaves of bread and a couple of fishes and feed the thousands at Disharoon Park, then good night. Tony Bennett has discovered the cure to HIV, scurvy, the bubonic plague, and all forms of cancer. He walks on water and he retires. He's replaced by Ron Sanchez, and ladies and gentlemen, the team fails to make the big dance. Now the baseball program is in limbo, with the head coach being linked to the Southeastern Conference. Goodness gracious, is Carla Williams going into a crossfire of significant proportions? And remember, she just got her contract extension. So much to cover on the I Love CVille show today. Judah Wickhauer, my friend, 61 years in business, Charlottesville Sanitary Supply. John Vermillion is, I got to get this right, at least 4 generations in Albemarle County. Big ups to John Vermillion, a beloved business owner, John Vermillion, the one-time small business person of the year from the Chamber of Commerce. And how about Andrew Vermillion, the Monticello High School graduate? I just found out that Andrew Vermillion, John's son, was a 7 handicap on the golf course, now running and owning Charlottesville Sanitary Supply. The Vermillion men are, how would you characterize them, Judah?
How would I characterize? I would characterize them as outgoing, friendly, honestly desiring to help people who come in. Just wonderful, a wonderful family.
I agree. Well said, Judah Wickhauer. The lead of the show. Drum roll, please. 18 stories and 184 feet. An apartment tower of 225 units. And the exact footprint of a beloved movie theater. The plans have been thrown in the crapper. They've been flush and disregarded as if it was the Chinese food from last night. The developer, Jeff Levine from the Big Apple, who's got a home in North Garden. The developer behind the Blue Moon Diner apartment tower. Interestingly, Blue Moon Diner is no more. Has chosen not to pursue an option to build an 18-story, 225-unit, 184-foot tall apartment tower. He said, you know what, dudes? This ain't going to work after all. He's pieced out. And in today's Daily Progress, you have a he said, she said of significant proportions. Michael Payne in the article, it's not us.
Yep.
It's not Charlottesville.
It's tariffs.
It's not
rising
the new zoning
construction
ordinance.
costs.
Michael Payne says it's Donald Trump. Michael Payne says it's Trump's tariffs. It's inflation. It's construction costs. It's labor. It's not City Hall, and it's not the new zoning ordinance, says Michael Payne, the two-term city councilor. Jeff Levine says, this just doesn't make sense. Multifamily housing, apartment housing on the downtown mall just doesn't make sense for me. I'm going to continue building my Tony, my expensive, my hotel right next to the Omni. I'm going to continue pursuing my partnership with this hotel next to the Omni, where I can charge $500 or $600 a night. But there's no way in HE double hockey sticks I'm going to build this apartment tower on Violet Crown's movie theater site. I'm letting my option to build go by the wayside, as if it was the very fresh and favorable odor once smelled in the Hogwaller neighborhood. What do you make of this story, Judah Wickower? Because there is so much to unpack, my friend.
I mean, I think he probably wanted a sweetheart deal and didn't get it, and now he's decided that. I mean, yeah, it's not gonna pencil out, because without major concessions by the city, he's just not gonna have. It's not going to be financially feasible.
Levine wants tax abatements, basically tax breaks. Levine wants, as Deep Throat says, an exception on the story limit, an exception on having parking visible above ground, an exception for first floor transparency, an exception for inclusionary zoning, tax breaks. He wants the Board of Architectural Review to bend over backwards for him.
Yeah.
And he didn't get everything he wanted. So he said, to hell with this project. And now downtown Charlottesville is going to be left with a movie theater that is beloved by some, but financially supported by not enough.
That's their problem, though, isn't it?
Clearly, is it just the movie theater's problem, or is it Charlottesville's problem? That lease only has 19 months left on it. We finally know how long the lease is.
Right, but they clearly want to extend it. They want to stay there.
Did you see how the operator of the movie theater was negotiating in print with the owner of the real estate? And it's extremely important to realize this, viewers and listeners. The owner of Violet Crown, the real estate, was the former operator. But the owner of the real estate said, Jesus, get me out of the movie theater business. And found an exit strategy by selling the operations of the business to an Austin-based movie theater operator. Then this new operator comes in and is blindsided by the landlord that they have an option to do a deal with Jeff Levine. When the lease expires, the operator had no idea that the owner of the real estate was considering not renewing the lease and selling to a real estate developer. So the operator of the business got backstabbed there. Backstabbed. Now we know the time length of the lease. 19 months for Violet Crown. 19 months in the business world is nothing. You are not going to invest with capital improvement projects to optimize a business model with 19 months left on a lease.
Right.
You are going to negotiate with the landlord, and that's what the operator is doing in the Daily Progress today, saying, we want to stay, but the terms are going to change. They said in print, the operator, and I will read it directly to you, because this is one of the items that struck me from this Violet Crown story. Judah Wickower, are you ready? Quote, this is the CEO of the operation of Violet Crown. We are going to work very closely with the landlord to see what those terms and the economics look like beyond the existing term. And the landlord and us can come to an agreement that works for both sides. We would love to be in Charlottesville, continue to show films, and provide that community place for everybody. What word stood out to you? For me, Work closely with the landlord to see what those terms and the economics look like beyond the existing lease term. In 19 months, what is brick and mortar movie business going to look like? In 19 months, what is brick and mortar movie business going to look like for the clear-cut third-placed horse in this race? If I get 5 brand new flat screen TVs for the home we moved to in June in Ivy and had them purchased and installed, including one nearly 80 inches that was hung on a stone fireplace in our primary hangout room, and all that work was done for less than $3,000. And that's today. What's that cost going to be 19 months from now? I'm going to ask you, the viewer and listener, this question. I'm going to ask you, Judah Wickhauer, this question. Jason Howard on Rio Road put this on my radar. I never thought about it this way. Can you think of one commodity in the world today that is improving in value, improving in its offering, but dropping in price?
Can I mean, you want me to say TVs?
That's the only thing. Viewers and listeners, can somebody think of one thing you can purchase in the world today that is vastly improved in its offering and its value proposition? Vastly improved in its offering and value proposition, but has significantly dropped in price to the tune of 50 or 60% at least over where it was 24 months ago. Can you think of anything else? If a viewer and listener can give me something that's synonymous with a television, that 24 months ago was 50% more expensive and 24 months ago was a far inferior product to what it is today. It has dropped in price by 50% at least, and the uptick in value proposition is 2 or 3x. And this tariff-centric, inflationary dominant, uncertain economic landscape, the only commodity I can think of that has significantly upticked in value, but significantly downticked in price point, televisions. Jason Noble says surround sound. I'll put that in televisions as the little brother of televisions, same category. Give me anything else, ladies and gentlemen. I swear to God, anything else. And I'll give you guys props of significant proportions on this show. Anything, anyone, give me one. You got one?
I don't have anything for you.
Jason Howard puts that on my radar. Jason Howard, I hope you're watching this program. I'd give you a flying chest bump. Vanessa Parkhill says, I love that you're involving your son in your businesses. My son's going to come with me to work every Thursday morning so my wife can enjoy yoga and a break from our kids. He's going to do some property management of our properties with us, some lease signings with us, some negotiations with us. He's going to meet with clients. He's going to walk our buildings. He's going to do it every Thursday morning with us. Can't wait to do it with him. So proud to be in his company. So Judah, in a world, as we're having this conversation, viewers and listeners, as I'm having the conversation with you, in a world where televisions, you get an 80-inch television for like $400 right now. Then you spend what? $20 a month for Netflix? $8 a month for Paramount Plus? $10 a month for Max? You got every movie possible. You have internet at home. Who's in 19 months when this lease is up, why would they renew? How about we do a prop bet? And this is a tough prop bet because it's a long period of time, although we'll know before 19 months. Do you think the Violent Crown movie theater is going to renew its lease and extend its term?
I think they'd like to.
Do you think they will? Are we going to bet a $75 bottle of top shelf booze on this? Why?
There are too
Macallan 12.
There are too many other factors.
So you would say if you were a betting man and a gambling man, hell no, they will not.
How did you get that?
If you were a betting man, you're making it difficult for the viewers and listeners.
No, I already answered the question.
If you're a betting man or a gambling man, where would you stack your $75 bottle of top shelf booze? On what side of the ledger?
Given the chance, they'll renew. What?
It's either they're going to renew their term or they're not going to renew their term if you were a betting man.
Okay. If I was a betting man, I'd say they're going to renew.
I'd be willing to take the bet.
No.
You do not want to take the bet.
No. Because there's no subtlety in you.
There's no subtlety in gambling, Jude.
I know. That's why I don't usually. That's why I don't usually go along with your prop bets.
There's either this side of the bet or a no side. You can't have subtlety in gambling.
Yeah, that's fair.
There's no subtlety in gambling.
I know.
What do you think, viewers and listeners? Now let's get to some commentary from Deep Throat. I love the commentary from Deep Throat. I'm going to read a lot of commentary from Deep Throat, who intimately knows the inner workings of this business. Are you ready? Can you put Deep Throat's photo on screen throughout me reading what I have to say?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here we go. This is good. Developers can make stupid decisions like anybody else. And in fact, I think they probably make them more than other business people because of the easy availability of leverage. So taking stupid risk is actually often an optimal strategy because you can offload a high share of the losses to creditors. I think Jeff Levine would have had an extremely difficult time getting financing, and that's why he chose to let his option expire. I am sure the current owner of the real estate will look for other interested parties. There's only 19 months left on the theater lease. If the owner of the real estate, which I'm fairly certain it is Bill Banowski, Banowski, I'm sure he wants to be out of his Charlottesville holdings. This guy is out in Santa Fe working on projects. He continues, Deep Throat. On the Violent Crown thing, things have gotten a little more complicated. Remember that originally Violent Crown, the brand and real estate, was owned and run by Bill Banowski. Then Banowski partnered with Elevate, EEG, which was basically Mitch Roberts. Then EEG took over the entire VC brand, but Bill still owns some of the real estate. Now Mitch has a minority investor, Marbella Investments. That's Brian Sheffield. Apparently Mitch and Brian Sheffield were not seeing eye to eye, so they split the business. The Violent Crown brand and business went to Brian Sheffield. So that's who holds the lease now, Brian Sheffield. Brian Sheffield is an oil magnate, Parsley Energy, and the scion of a famous oil family. He's a huge big wheel in Austin and in Texas political circles. He owns part of the Austin MLS soccer franchise. He is a multi-billionaire, Brian Sheffield. No one tells Brian Sheffield what to do, and no one bullies Brian Sheffield. Intel from Deep Throat, two-shot Judah Wickower. In straight-face fashion, this is what we know. You have, in a very recent present and past, have had 3 different operators of the movie theater business in downtown Charlottesville, including one operator who still owns the real estate. The team that still owns the real estate was doing a backroom deal with a prominent developer without its tenant knowing that deal was materializing and taking place. The tenant found out of this backroom deal because of reporting offered to the Daily Progress. That reporting offered to the Daily Progress by the owner of the real estate and by the potential developer was a games play, a chess play. And they were trying to use the media and its reporting to kind of put pressure on the operator that, hey, your lifespan on this footprint is short. So you may want to consider other options and not invest in a lot of stuff. That deal has fallen through, but the operator knows that the owner of the real estate is willing to wheel and deal without them in the future. So if you're the operator and you have 19 months on the lease, you're going to be very hesitant to continue investing in this operation because you don't have a lot of runway left to get return on investment on those capital improvement projects. So you're in purgatory. And being in purgatory in an industry that's dying the death of 1,000 cuts is a terrible position. It's like being in a burning house without an escape route or without an oxygen mask. You just suffer in the burning house and burn and burn and burn. Compounding the matter is it's a small market and there's 2 other movie theater companies and businesses in there that are taking your market share. Compounding the problem, your 2 competitors have much easier and readily available parking and less headwinds associated with their shopping centers, Fifth Street Station and Stonefield, when compared to the downtown mall and the headwinds tied to parking, the houselessness, crime, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I will bet anyone that in 19 months, this business is not going to be operating a movie theater there. TVs, surround sound too cheap, streaming too affordable, movie theater experience too expensive, and too many players in this town. And it's a perfect segue into our next headline as you're putting lower thirds on screen. The CVille political landscape and the obvious collateral damage. When do we start asking the questions of what the collateral damage of local politics is doing to Charlottesville and all of us? It's the same where we're talking with the UVA athletic department. When do we start asking the questions about Carla Williams when the football team has the worst record of any of the power conferences over the last 3 years? When the basketball team has struggled since it's won a national championship, when the basketball team lost its beloved head coach, when the basketball team did not make the NCAA tournament, and now the baseball team did not make the NCAA playoffs postseason, and the head baseball coach is about to leave to the Southeastern Conference. When do we ask the questions of what's going on in the athletic department? And the head of the athletic department is Carla Williams. It's the same type of common sense thinking, Judah. It's the same type of connecting the dots we have to do with Charlottesville. I mean, goodness gracious, great balls of fire. We have businesses closing left and right. Blue Moon Diner just decided to hang up the towel and close. We have businesses left and right. Eljo's, Reed's, Guadalajara Fontaine, Little John's, 10,000 Villages, Belmont Pizza, Fry Springs, just closing.
Did Fry Springs close in the last year?
Yes.
Really? I thought they closed in 2023.
Let's look. You might be right, but it's pretty darn close. All the other ones in the last year. Fry Springs Station closed 14 months ago. 15 months ago, if you want to be exact. When do we start asking the question, what's going on? What's going on with the tax base? What's going on with the cost of living?
Yeah. I mean, it's...
What's going on with the labor pool that can't afford to live here?
Everything's getting more expensive.
And when do you start pointing the fingers? Comments, put them in the feed. We'll relay them live on air. And trust me, I'll get heat for this from viewers and listeners. I'll get heat from the activists in Livable CVille. I think a lot of the blame falls on Livable CVille's shoulders. I think a lot of the blame falls on the Democratic Party of Charlottesville, the Albemarle County Democratic Party. You know what? I think a lot of the blame falls on you, Judah Wickower, and falls on me, and falls on the viewers and listeners. We're all culpable.
Yeah.
All of us are culpable.
I agree.
You disagree, viewers and listeners? You continue doing the same thing over and over again and expect a different result. That's what's been happening around here.
I don't know if it's the same thing.
How's it not the same thing? You're voting the same people in year
well,
after year.
In that regard.
Year after year. It's the definition of insanity. Lloyd Snook, second term. Love Lloyd. Michael Payne, second term. Anyone think Brian Pinkston and Juan Diego Wade aren't the favorites? Second term. You disagree?
No. But in that case, if you're blaming everyone, if you've got two choices and only two choices, I feel it's a little odd placing the blame on everyone that had to make one of those choices.
Two choices?
What?
How do you only have two choices?
Two choices, three choices. It's not like we have a wide range. We have Democrats who are all running for the same seat or the same seats.
Tina Wyatt Bryan agrees completely with what I'm saying. Jason Noble points fingers in the direction we're pointing. William McChesney highlights the taxes and fees that continue to being passed along to people left and right. Got 2 spots on council open. Carly Wagner watching the program. Are they just playing hardball for cutthroat lease negotiations? I feel bad for the landlord of the movie theater.
For the landlord?
In this scenario, I do not feel bad for the landlord at all.
Yeah, I certainly don't feel bad for them, especially after.
I feel bad for the operator.
Yeah.
It's the operator that's dying the death of 1,000 cuts. Warrior AG's watching the program. You can thank the population of Charlottesville, and you're getting their photos on screen, right? You can thank the population of Charlottesville and the surrounding area for the brick and mortar movie theater business going by the wayside. We need one big theater in this metropolitan area. The size of Charlottesville and its population cannot manage or support 3 of them. And now you got a counselor in Michael Payne who's writing opinion pieces in the Cavalier Daily at a time when the Cavalier Daily, its student writers are on summer break. So of course, the fundraising supported Cavalier Daily will welcome the printing of City Councilor Michael Payne's commentary in full. And that commentary in the Cavalier Daily basically offers the proverbial shame, 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 UVA, shame, shame, for taking the Federal Executive Institute from our school. He writes, shame, shame. And then we have to ask Michael Payne this question. Counselor Payne, Buford Middle School needed $70 or $80 million to get remodeled because it was so decrepit. Mm-hmm. Walker needs millions of dollars to get remodeled because it's so decrepit. Charlottesville High School, millions of dollars are being invested into it because it's so decrepit. We talked to a very close friend of the program who we will respect his anonymity. You were in this meeting yesterday. And in this meeting, this close friend of the program said, we provide equipment to city schools. And this equipment continues to come back to us, asking us to repair it. We've been repairing equipment for city schools that should have been replaced 5 or 6 years ago. But all they choose to do is spend $2,500 a year repairing the equipment as opposed to the $14,000 it costs to buy it brand new. Then he says, the operators of this equipment in city schools are spending significantly more time using this broken equipment or taking this broken equipment to us. He does not understand how the city schools just continue to repair broken equipment and waste their labor, as opposed to buying brand new equipment when the delta with the purchase and the repair is so slim. Explain to me how city schools would have been able to upkeep the Federal Executive Institute 90,000 plus square feet and 14 acres.
Yeah.
When it can't keep up smaller acreage and smaller buildings in size. Mm-hmm. UVA said it was going to be $2 million a year just to maintain it. We as taxpayers would have been on the hook for the rest of our lives for the Federal Executive Institute. Would have been on the hook for. And yet the counselor, one of 5 of them, is writing, "Shame, shame, UVA," commentary in the Cavalier Daily, saying us schools should have had it. It was the fiscally responsible and prudent thing to do. And you know what? Michael Payne's not to blame. UVA's not to blame. Charlottesville City Schools are not to blame. Wackadoo Shannon Gillikin of the Teachers Union is not to blame, who's leveraging free labor against children, saying, UVA, screw you. We don't want your student teachers. Now we want your student teachers to go to private schools and Albemarle County public schools instead of offering us free teaching labor and our kids helping them to get smarter. Screw those kids. We don't want those free UVA teachers working for us. She's not to blame. You know who's to blame? Not Dr. Gurley, not the school board, not City Hall. You know who's to blame? Damn it, Judah. You're to blame. And I'm to blame. And the viewers and listeners are to blame. Everyone listening to this show is to blame. That's who's to blame. Same thing over and over again and expecting different results. In this Virginia baseball story, where there's smoke, there's fire. You want to put those 2 lower thirds on screen? Tony Bennett leaves. Football program can't win. Ron Sanchez couldn't win. Baseball coach is being linked to Mississippi State. Basketball team didn't make the big dance. Baseball team didn't make the big dance. Football team hasn't beaten Virginia Tech consistently since what? I was in diapers. Where there's smoke, there's fire. And if Carla Williams is not in hot H2O, this headline should say, is Carla Williams in hot H2O? Not just is Carla Williams in water. Hot water. Judah, hot water. If she's not in hot water, then goodness gracious, she's got the best job in the world. Just got a contract extension.
Yep.
Got a contract extension despite her football program being the worst of any of the power conferences. Got a contract extension despite losing her head basketball coach and her basketball team not making the big dance, and now on the cusp of losing her baseball coach. Georgia Gilmer watching the program, her photo on screen, Georgia Gilmer. Regarding Michael Payne, he mentioned all the deferred maintenance of the city schools. Well, any intelligent person knows it's better to be proactive than reactive, almost more cost effective. Why would we buy a Federal Executive Institute or acquire or politic for it when we can't even upkeep our schools? Jeremy Wilson watching in Eastern Tennessee. The common denominator is Carla Williams. Vanessa Parkhill says, no, it's not Judah's fault. No, it's not my fault. And no, it's not your fault, Jerry, because we can't vote in the city.
Yep.
She's putting that blame on Deep Throat, who's living in the city. She's blaming the city viewers that are watching the program. All y'all's fault. Judah can't vote. He lives in Albemarle County. Jerry can't vote. He lives in Albemarle County. I live in Ivy in Albemarle County. Carly Wagner lives in Albemarle County. Not Carly Wagner's fault. Bill McChesney, you live on McIntyre Road. It's your fault. Jason Noble, you live in Albemarle County. It's not your fault. Bob Yarborough, you're watching the program. You live in Redfields. It ain't your fault. Bob Yarborough says, I know life here is far from perfect and we face significant challenges, housing and livability being paramount, but travel the country and you'll see this is still a pretty amazing place to live and raise a family. Maybe focus pressure on UVA to make pilot payments for a start.
That would be nice.
UVA ain't going to do that.
Nope, it'd still be nice.
Who has the most social influence to pressure the University of Virginia to do this in Central Virginia? It ain't council.
No.
It's not Michael Payne. They don't even listen to him. Carla Williams, you think the pressure's been tough on you. Wait to see what happens when Brian O'Connor leaves, if he leaves. Deep Throat says, hey, Vanessa Parkhill, I wrote in Mickey Mouse on my ballot. I'm not to blame.
Good man.
Deep Throat says, but the Jack Jewett District voters in Albemarle County have a chance to make a selection even more insane than the one city voters are making by picking a loony wokester and Sally Duncan over Dave Shreve. I'm going to tell you right now, ladies and gentlemen that are watching this program, and I'll close on this. If Albemarle County voters in the Jack Jewett District vote Sally Duncan ahead of Dave Shreve, you are about to open a Pandora's box of quality of life impact that you have yet to see in your entire life. I'll say that again. I want every freaking viewer and listener to hear what I'm saying. If the Jack Jewett District voters, and remember, Republicans and independents in the Jack Jewett District can vote in this Democratic primary. It's not just Democrats.
Yeah.
But if voters in the Jack Jewett District, that is a very large part tenants and renters that live in this district, if they vote Sally Duncan over Dave Shreve, Albemarle County in totality is about to have a Pandora's box open of quality of life change that the county has never experienced in perhaps county history. That Pandora's box of quality of life impact will include the highest levels of taxes the county of Albemarle has ever experienced in its history. It's already at its pinnacle real estate tax rate. It's already at its pinnacle property tax rate. It's already at its pinnacle assessment rate. And Sally Duncan has commercials that are airing on television and on social media that says, I want to raise taxes even more. It is bananas. Thank you, Mike. Jason Noble says this, hide your kids, hide your wife, because they're going to be taxed. Sally Duncan's advertising campaign.
Yep. We've got the video.
You have the commercial? I'm hesitant to even put it on screen because are we giving her props for this? Are we pointing out what she's doing? Do we put it on screen? Do you have it?
I believe
Air
I do.
the damn commercial. Do you have it? Can you play it?
Let's see. Yeah.
3, 2, 1. Play the thing.
While the White House keeps cutting and defunding programs, here in Albemarle County, we're investing. We're investing in housing. We're investing in our kids. We're investing in each other.
Hi, I'm Sally Duncan, and I'm running for Albemarle County Board of Supervisors because I want to continue investing in our community. Vote for me to be your Jack Jewett Supervisor by June 17th.
I'm Sally Duncan, and I approve this message.
Does that commercial not scream increased taxes?
What does investing require? Investing requires money. Where do city councils and board of supervisors get money? They get money from taxes. If they want more money, they've got to increase taxes.
We have someone who teaches at a $27,000 a year private school that is saying invest in public schools. We have someone whose husband makes well over 6 figures working for Charlottesville City Hall saying I'm nothing but a renter in the Jack Jewett district. Despite her family's take-home income well over area median income. I need the viewers and listeners to understand this. You have a candidate that's running on, woe is me, I'm a renter in the tenant-dominated Jack Jewett district, and I want to invest in public schools, and I want to invest in housing. But what she's not saying is, my husband's salary alone is well over area median income, and he works for City Hall. I work for a $27,000 a year private school as a teacher. We're wealthy. We live on 4 acres in Earlysville in a big house, paying big-time monthly rent. Give me a break. If you don't see through the mumbo-jumbo, then Albemarle County, your county is about to turn into the city of Charlottesville. You heard? You heard? Did you heard? Your county is about to turn into the city of Charlottesville. Kevin Cox on the program tomorrow. He wants to offer his perspective of what happened with his arrest on Elliott Avenue. Got a 72-year-old man with a year hanging over his head and a $1,000 plus vandalism charge. He's coming on the program tomorrow. He reached out to us, Kevin Cox. Judah Wickower absolutely crushed it today. Job well done.
Thank you.
My name is Jerry Miller. So long, everybody.